Don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Don't let them pick guitars and drive them old trucks. You join me inside the 21 Ford Bronco. We have been waiting 25 years for the return of this truck, and it's finally here. And I'm not talking about that Bronco Sport. No, this is the full-size big boy. And in first edition trim, we've got the Sasquatch package. You have your leather seats, your bigger infotainment screen. You got the complete Bronco experience. And I'm excited for this in-depth review. We're gonna go over the exterior of this truck, the interior, and the driving dynamics, both on-road and off-road, to see if this is a better SUV than rivals like the Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro and the Land Rover Defender, and most importantly, the American icon, the Jeep Wrangler. That's today on Miles Per Hour. And there it is, the Ford Bronco First Edition. Oh, I just feel cool standing next to this truck. That's how awesome it is. This one is painted in lightning blue metallic. It's just a killer color. I think it might be my favorite color on the new Bronco, and I've seen it in red, and that was good. I saw it in Area 51, that was okay. But this blue just ties it all together. And before we get too deep into this in-depth review, I want to take a quick sec to thank the sponsor of today's video, Imagine Autos. So here's what they're doing. They're creating a high-quality, video-centric, so key, video-centric car purchasing experience. So when you go to their site, imagineautos.com, they're linked in the description below, or you download their app, you're going to step into interactive spotlights from their walk-around videos, like I'm doing right now, of the exact car you're looking to buy. So let's say you want to see what condition the tires are in, which on this truck is massive. Well, you're just going to hit the tire icon in the upper right-hand corner, and it will jump ahead in the video to show you the tires. It's super intuitive, and the visuals are clutch. Imagine Autos is creating a better car shopping experience with real video, including in-app features like augmented reality vehicle assessment, where you can see the kind of car you're looking at in your own driveway or out on the road. It's awesome. So go ahead and hit the link, go to imagineautos.com or download their app to check out the car selection. And without further ado, let's get back to the Bronco. Guys, there's so much to unpack with this truck. We'll start up here at the front, and in fact, I'll start just by laying the groundwork. The first edition model, first of all, you can't buy it anymore. They only made 7,000 of them, both in 2-door and 4-door versions, and they're all gone. They are effectively the most from the factory well-equipped versions of the Bronco you can have. The only thing they're missing is the towing package, which this one doesn't have. So you get things like this modular steel bumper with the brush guard that covers up the Bronco, written in white on the gloss black backed grille. You get upgraded from the standard Bronco's LED reflector headlights. You now got these signature LED projector headlamps, which looks so cool. You've got the classic circular headlight of the Bronco, but now you get this signature, comes in and it just sort of borders the Bronco in the center. Looking so good. Down low, the first edition comes with the Sasquatch package, and with that you get steel bash plates, and just throughout the vehicle you have underbody protection. You have 2 recovery points, and coming up here, you get these hood graphics with the first edition. I could take them or leave them, I don't know. They don't really make the truck for me, and they also are down here on the sides. You have these points up here, which just at the front of your tires tell you from the driver's seat where your front tires are, because you can't see them all the time out on the trail. There's a slight bulge there on the hood, and then with that Sasquatch package, you get these broadened fender flares to cover up the 35-inch tires. Now, fun story about these tires. They're Goodyear Wrangler Territory mud terrain tires, but Bronco's not about to have the word Wrangler on their main competitor on their Bronco. So they worked with Goodyear, so they would only put Goodyear on the tires and Territory and mud terrain. So they're 315 section mud terrain tires, 70R 17s, and yes, that means they're wrapping over 17-inch beadlock capable gloss black wheels. I like the design of these wheels. They actually have some other wheel designs that I think look better, but the beadlock capability is very nice. I'm going to peek in here. You'll see the Bilstein position sensitive shocks, and this one, the Sasquatch, gets the 0.6 inch lift. First edition badging here, first edition Sasquatch badging, and then down low you've got these rock sliders. Another key thing about the Bronco, well, a couple things. One, they put on here that is accessory ready. They put that there, they put it up here, and that just sort of like, it seems unnecessary to me, because if anyone's going to modify their truck, if they're into it, they're going to know when they're going to find out where to put accessories. You don't have to tell them. But the door mirrors, the position of them are not on the doors, so that when you remove the doors, which you can do just like the Wrangler, you still have access to mirrors. And the LED spotlights that are on these mirrors. Stepping back. Now, you know, I saw the two-door, I drove the two-door Badlands on the 33-inch tires, and that looked right. That wheelbase length with those tires. But this, the four-door with the added length, just looks so good. The stance is so right with the 35-inch tires. I don't want to picture it any other way. This is just perfectly suited. The tiny little overhangs there, front and rear, and that one character line that just runs from the front of the tires to the back. It's just so straight edged. Even this little kink here by the rear window, just a very straight line at an upward angle. Gosh, it looks good. Getting to the back. Now we're looking at the vertical LED taillights here. Down low we've got a plastic bumper, but it's got these ridged plates. It is meant for weight, so you could step up on this and access things on the roof. You have two recovery points there and there. And then the tailgate has been set up to accommodate the 35-inch tire. That's a lot of weight on the back, but they made it work. And again, it just looks so good. And you've got a gloss black bucking Bronco off to the right-hand side. Honestly, from every angle, I'm so into the design of the new Bronco, and it redeems the fact that I think by naming the Bronco Sport and confusing a lot of people, and then to have to clarify that, no, this is the full-size Bronco. This is what you were waiting for, guys. It's redeemed because this truck looks so freaking macho and powerful. Let's check out that interior, though. On our way in, we'll see we have smart keyless entry, so you can leave the key in your pocket, just pull on the door handle to unlock it, to lock it, press on that lock icon right there. We've got that for the front two doors, but not the rear ones, and so it's just partial convenience. However, leveling it up is the fact that this one has the optional keypad accessory, so you could leave the key in your truck, go surf, snowboard, do whatever active thing you want where you don't want the key on you, then just come back, enter in a code, and the door will unlock. Ford's been doing that for a while, I know, but it's still cool to have. When you open up the door for the first time, you're going to see some animations on the gauge cluster and on the infotainment. A little welcome for you. And I didn't show this, but when you open up these doors, this glass moves around quite a lot. A little disconcerting, but I think that's one of the only quality questionable things that I found in the Bronco, because everything else is just really, really nicely put together. The first edition effectively bundles the mid, high, and luxury packages all in one, so you get things like these leather and vinyl seats. They're 10-way power adjustable for the driver, 6-way manual adjustment for the passenger. Both of them are going to be heated. My only critique about that is that the leather quality from Ford has never really blown me away. So you can feel the difference between the leather and the vinyl, but neither are really luxury feeling. Granted, this is a mainstream vehicle, it's off-road oriented, but I kind of want a little better leather quality. I do love the Bronco embossed on the seat back, and the white contrast stitching looks really nice there. They say white? It's sort of gray contrast stitching. The first edition also gets things like a leather-wrapped heated steering wheel, leather wrapping for your gear selector, and ambient footwell lighting. Now, it's not like Mercedes-Benz 64 color ambient lighting, it's just one color, it's a bluish-white glow, but I'll still take it. All Broncos have this substantial integrated grab handle here. It's rubberized, it says Bronco on it, just in case you weren't sure what truck you're driving at this point. And on the doors, you've got in navy this soft touch material along with harder plastics around that, soft touch for the armrest, a light gray textured panel here for the grab handle, mesh pocket, and pretty solid feeling door handle. Now, while we're standing by the doors, I'll mention that if you want to remove them, it's really easy to do. First of all, they give you the tools in a very nice Bronco pouch. Look at that. Open it up, and you've got everything you need to remove the 2 bolts that are here, 1 and 2, along with the wiring loom. And then, as it tells you to do, you lift it up and off. You do that for that door, you do that for the back doors. It's not going to take you very long. It's just like the Bronco, very easy to do. And also, while we're out here standing around looking at it, this one has the optional hard top. So all the 4-door Broncos come standard with a soft top. This one has the hard top, and on the first edition, you get additional sound deadening material. You see that like carpeted stuff? Oh, it's dandruff. It's got dandruff. But to remove the hard top, it's again like the Wrangler with its freedom panels. Really easy to do. You've got 1, 2, and 3 latches that you sort of pull over, and then this one that you pull down, and that unhooks it. You can easily take these 2 off with just 1 person. If you want to take the back one off, you can do that as 1 person. The height of this first edition or anything with a Sasquatch package makes it a little more complicated. You got to kind of get in there and lift from the center and snake it over without scratching up on the hardtop. But you can do it as 1 person. They're not heavy. Case in point, I just removed them all myself. Now hopping up and in. I'm going to put the truck in accessory mode to turn on these 2 screens, but as I do so, look at the design of the start-stop button, mimicking the headlight design with the circle and this line that comes in towards where Bronco would be on the grille. I love those details, and there are a ton of them in this truck. In fact, there are so many Easter eggs. I don't know all of them, and I won't have time to point them all out, but I will point out the few that I have spotted. This is another cool one, integrating again the headlight design with this first edition plaque that you get on this model. The 2 star screws keeping the plaque there are within the headlight designs that go towards the grille. And on the original Bronco, it had Ford on the grille instead of Bronco. Here we have that there with first edition just below that. In front of the driver, you're going to get an 8-inch TFT display that's reconfigurable. You can see that there is a tachometer right there. You have this page over here that can be changed. That's going to show you what safety features you've got going on, and if you're departing the lane, this one has lane keep assist in addition to adaptive cruise control, automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, and a few other goodies that are part of the Ford Copilot 360 kit that are on the first edition. I'll show you how to reconfigure this. So we'll hit this button here, and you can customize the My View page. Going to show some telemetry data if you want to go into off-road. That's probably more interesting. Pitch and roll status, where the torque is being distributed, tire pressures, various gauges, including turbo boost, battery temperatures, oil temperatures, all that good stuff. So that's in here. I won't show you absolutely everything, but it is reconfigurable and it's pretty quick to respond. The only complaint I had was when I was using manual mode just in the POV test drive, the tack is so very small and it can't be expanded that, and funny enough, when I drove the manual version of this truck, it's the same deal. Like, I want the tack to be bigger, and as far as I could tell, you couldn't really get it to take over the whole display. Whereas you have this analog speedo over here, feel like an analog tack, at least on the manual version, would be nice to have. No head-up display, but up here on the dashboard, first of all, you can see the speaker covers for the Bang & Olufsen 10-speaker sound system you get on this first edition model, along with the additional 2 USB-C ports that are intended to be working with whatever accessory camera recording system, a GoPro or some action camera you've got up on the dashboard recording your off-road shenanigans, and you have small storage trays up there. Also up on the dashboard are some of the Sasquatch package goodies, including the disconnecting front sway bar, front and rear locking differentials, trail turn assist, which uses torque vectoring to brake the inner wheel so that you can turn easier on the trail, traction control, and then of course your hazards. And these are all rubberized and feel really good. You've got also this textured material. I like that it's not just a flat hard plastic. They do something there, and they have that same material here on this part of the dashboard. In smooth matte finish, you've got Bronco in front of the passenger side. The air vents have their own design, and these are very similar to the taillight designs. So again, just the details add up to a very cool experience at the helm of the Bronco. And on this left side are some of those active safety features I mentioned. Your turn signal stock here. That feels like a higher quality plastic than just cheapy stuff. That's where the turn signals show up. To adjust the steering wheel, you pull down on this lever, and you have a good measure of tilt and telescope. I feel like there could be a little more tilt to this wheel. I feel like you're going to end up with very tall or very short drivers sometimes in this Bronco, and I think they could do a better job of that. Here are where you're going to turn on your LED spotlights if you have it equipped like you do on this Bronco First Edition, your lighting adjustments, your emergency brake, your hood release. This is all going to be hard plastic, of course. That makes sense. And then moving on towards the 12-inch infotainment running the Sync 4 software system. Now, Sync 4 is standard on all Broncos, as is an 8-inch touchscreen display, much bigger than the standard 5-inch display you get in the Wrangler Sport. And Sync 4 is really very good. It's user-friendly. It's mostly quick to respond. The resolution is excellent. You have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto now. And working through all the different features like zone lighting that you've got on this truck, you can have it set up to just show the pages that you want to see first, right when you hop in the truck. And Apple CarPlay, my only complaint with that is it doesn't take over the whole screen, it just takes over this box here. Dual zone climate control, that is going to be part of the First Edition package. And then down here we've got 2 USB ports, a USB-A and a USB-C. Wireless smartphone charging is part of the First Edition. All of these knobs are like a rubberized, knurled finish to them, so they're easy to grab even if you have gloves on. This button you press here brings up the camera system, the front-facing camera, and the 360 view that you get with the First Edition. The gear selector feels really good. You got a Bronco in here, and it's sort of an indent, so you get to feel the design of the Bronco there. The manual mode is awkward. Using these to go up and down a gear is very strange, but it feels nice and chunky in the hand, and then going into manual is just one click down. There is no sport drive mode to the vehicle. However, you have all of these different go over any terrain modes, along with your 2-speed transfer case selections here, and the, I can't remember, they call it trail control or something. It's basically hill descent or hill ascent control, stability control, or basically cruise control for off-roading. To go through the different drive modes, you click left and right here, and they have their own little animations. You've got normal, eco, slippery, mud and ruts, sand, a Baja mode, and rock crawl. We'll get into some of the off-road modes when we take this thing off-road. But for now, the only thing I feel like it's missing is a sport mode. This engine has plenty of power. Kind of want a sport mode. The grab handle on the passenger side is, again, very substantial, just like the ones that are integrated into the dashboard. In the center console, well, actually just above or just in front of the center console, all of your window controls are here. It took me a second to find these, and the door mirror controls. You do have power door mirrors. They're not auto-folding when you lock the truck, but the controls are here, and so you might take you a second if you haven't been in the truck before to find those. You've got some soft touch material on the console, which is lockable on this First Edition model. Inside, you've got this tray that can be removed. You have a little bit of storage. It's not a huge center console. It's fairly deep, and you have another DC socket there. Lots of ways to charge your devices in the Bronco, that's for sure. Up top here, we have 6 pre-wired auxiliary switches. So if you want to add on your own lights or a winch or air compressor, you can have them all programmed up here. You don't have to install ugly switches onto the dashboard somewhere. The rear view mirror is auto dimming in this First Edition model. You've got your cabin lighting here. Pretty thick sun visor, along with the buttons for your garage door openers that you can program in there. Moving it over, it does slide almost to cover the whole window on the driver and passenger side, but not quite completely. Looking at the glove box, this is also lockable. See that there? And it's pretty good sized. Now going into checking out the back, there's that same navy on gray color scheme, and you've got more of that contrast stitching here to make it look nicer. The seat backs are fairly upright, just kind of like the Wrangler. They can't be reclined at all. They can, of course, be folded down. You can press this and the headrest fold, and then pull these levers, and the seat backs come down for an almost flat lie. On the doors, the same soft touch material there, and on the armrest, the same texturing for that grab handle, the same meshing, and the same process of removing the doors. Stepping up and in, you do have a big step up because of those 35-inch tires, so you can grab on here and make the job easy. Now here's me behind my own driving position at 6 feet tall. You can see the nice large foot pockets mean I can slide my feet under to decrease that knee angle. The thigh support is adequate. It comes out fairly far, again, for the dimensions that we have. You've got a map pocket in here. The seat back is covered in that leather and vinyl. The knee room is actually pretty decent. I've got a couple inches here, and with those knee cutouts, that adds an extra ½ inch there. On this center console here, they make sure you're not going to step on here if you're going to be maybe, I don't know what you'd be doing where you're standing up there getting good video. And then down here, you've got your window controls in the same spot as you find them on the Wrangler. You've got 2 USB ports there, one USB-C, one USB-A, and then the AC 400-watt outlet on this first edition model here. The drive shaft hump isn't giant, so we'll see. I'll sit in the center, and of course I've taken off the roof panels, but I did make sure that my head would clear in this middle seat, and these passengers left and right of me would still have space. This is just a little more pinched without the knee cutouts, and I'm putting my knees really close towards the seat backs. But you could fit 3 full-size adults across the rear row, even with full-sizers in the front 2 seats. And as I'm sitting back here, I want to show you guys an Easter egg I found. No, I didn't look any of these up. I just sort of discovered them myself. There is this mountainous setting depicted here, along with a set of latitude and longitudinal coordinates. What these are to, I don't know. If you know, please comment below because I'm very curious. Of course, I could look this all up, but I'm just too lazy. As I slide out, pull down the armrest with cup holders in the center, and because I just whacked my head, I'm reminded of the fact that when you step up and into the Bronco or down and out, you are going to want to duck your head if you are taller, because I've whacked my dome on that a number of times. And slight detour on the way to the tailgate, opening up the fuel door to find capless fueling, the best thing ever, along with another Easter egg. You've got the 3 prior generations of Bronco, I guess internal codename U13, U14, U15, along with the date that the Bronco was launched in 1966. It's like finding little surprises all over your truck. And then back here, you've got another one of those lock sensors. So if you have the key on you, you can lock the tailgate from the back. Opening this up is very easy because, because you've got this big hydraulic strut here. And the best part about that is when it's open, it's not going to just close on you. Like, I'm just sharing personal experience in the JK Wrangler, that would close on me on a windy day all the time and smash my legs. 2 more struts for the back glass. And now we're looking at the cargo space back here. It's 22 cubic feet of space. You can fold down the seats easily by pulling on those levers there and there, and you can reach them while still standing here. That's very nice. A couple Easter eggs I found. You've got this set of lassos on all 4 of your tie-down points. And then there is a Bronco on this incandescent light that is definitely not going to illuminate all that you need to illuminate back here. So you may need to swap those for LEDs or install some accessory lighting. You've got another DC socket back here. Under the floor, you'll find your jack along with a little bit of additional storage, not a ton. And then on the tailgate, they tell you yet again, it's ready for accessories. But are you ready for accessories? That's the real question here. Let's talk that out. You know this tailgate's so heavy with that 35-inch tire. That just makes it so simple. And with all that shown, we got just 2 things left to do. You know the channel, you know what they are. Number 1, big bottle test. Will it fit inside the full-size Bronco? Oh my gosh, I didn't show you the key either. What am I doing? So, it's your typical Ford key, but on the back it says Bronco. You've got unlock, lock, and remote start on the first edition, along with your panic button. Okay, it was 3 things left to do. Will it fit? We're going to try the front cup holders. not going to go there. That's where your smartphone charges. Not going to try that. Center console. Going to take some things out. See if it'll make its way in at an angle. Oh, yeah. We got one spot. Going to try the mesh door pocket for number 2. Looking good. Yes. 2 spots inside the Bronco. It's a pass of the big bottle test. And with that, we're gonna fire up this rig. But before we rev it out, guys, if you've been enjoying this video so far, please like, comment, and share it, and subscribe to the channel. And now, let's take it for a drive. Now, as we do on this channel, we're going to be starting things off with a 0 to 60 test for the Ford Bronco. And we don't have any sport mode, as I mentioned, so no real prep work to do except for turning off the start-stop system, so we don't want that kicking on as we're doing our dead launch here. And in normal drive mode, I'm just going to be putting my foot down and seeing what happens. Here we go. Great traction off the line, and there's that torque. And there's 60. That hustled. Oversized tires, and we got moving. The engine. 2.7 liter twin turbo V6 that makes 330 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. That is what I felt right there, pulling me out of a dig. That's sent through a 10-speed automatic gearbox to your choice, rear-wheel drive or all 4 wheels. We've of course got it in rear drive right now. 0 to 60, independent tests have seen 6.3 seconds even with the Sasquatch package that we have here, and that felt pretty darn accurate. The soundtrack's pretty great too. Let's try these brakes. Hard on those. Oh, great bite. Wow. Holy cow. The braking performance is sensational. I do like that soundtrack as well. And yet another thing, that independent front suspension and what that gives you in terms of steering feel. The calibration of this electronic power steering rack as well. I mean, I actually have a sense of what the front tires are doing. Shocking. Especially given its main rival, the Jeep Wrangler, and how much play there is in that rack. And now that I'm here on the highway, how much tram lining you experience in that truck that you just don't have in this Bronco. Gosh, it feels like I'm driving a normal SUV. Except for the fact that I've got oversized tires and they're humming quite a lot right now. And the fact that I've got lots of wind noise. But I can't blame the Bronco exclusively for that. The Wrangler deals with that even with the hardtop, because anytime you're dealing with something you can take off the doors, the seals are not going to be quite as tight, and you can take off the roof panels. You've got extra nooks and crannies for wind to get in there and disrupt the cabin noise. That's the price you pay, and it's one I'm willing to pay if I'm looking at something like the Bronco, like the Wrangler. I'll deal with the wind noise, and it all kind of just fades in the background. But I'll tell you what, just cruising on the highway, this is downright easy. It's easy to drive, whereas the Wrangler, again, I'm coming back to it, you're just constantly making these micro adjustments just to point down the roadway. What a difference that independent front suspension makes. We also, of course, have the adaptive cruise control that I will engage here, and lane keep assist to make your highway driving that much more pleasant and relaxing. I'll do one deliberate lane departure just to see. Indeed it does. The steering corrects me back to the center. And visibility is also respectably good. The dash isn't too high. I can see out over that hood. The windows are nice and tall. Of course, you do have that blind spot, especially with the headrests up and the rollover protection there. But that's what blind spot monitoring is for, so you have that. This is just, it's so agreeable to drive. At least here on the highway. What about on the street? Back on the street at a much more leisurely pace. I've removed the roof panels to enjoy that sunshine, and I'm going to throw it in eco drive mode. And just cruise. Just see how the Bronco does in this kind of environment. And the first thing I'm reminded when I slow things down at the wheel of the Bronco is just how cool you feel driving it around. It's like a palpable sense. You look around and there's a respect. People look at you like you've earned your stripes in life. And I mean, maybe that will fade a little bit as the Bronco is out for longer, but I don't ever think like this truck is ever going to stop being cool. I think people would just get more used to seeing it. But for now, I mean, you gotta just feel awesome. Add to that the fact that it really meanders very nicely. The seats are comfortable, they're cushy, they're supportive. The suspension, albeit the Bilsteins with the reservoirs being tuned for high-speed off-road driving with washboardy roads, they're good here on the street. Yeah, you feel the bumps, but it's more just like a tautness to the suspension. There's not a roughness to it. And like the wind noise with the top on, you just kind of get used to the bumps. It's not so rough. It's not so bad. But after a while, you get bored of this and you're like, let's go off-roading. And just like that, the pavement has ended. We are off-road. So let's make some changes here. In the GOAT mode setting, we're just going to kind of leave it in normal drive mode, but I will switch from two-wheel drive high to four-wheel drive auto. The tire pressure I've already lowered to the mid-20s. That'll give us a little more cushion out here. And I don't even need to go into neutral for the shift to four-wheel drive high auto. And so it's just into drive, and off we go. Now the way four-wheel drive auto works is it's by default still in rear drive mode, but if it detects slip, then it will send power to the front wheels. Now this is a good test of those Bilstein shocks on a much less forgiving road surface. Airing down the tires is going to help, but the shocks need to do most of the work. I'll tell you what, the little impacts are definitely, they're making their way through to the cabin. I'm feeling a lot of vibration, a lot of movement through this chassis. But so far, I've yet to feel a big hit that really punishes. And that, I mean, that speaks to how the suspension is calibrated. It's got the control end stops. It's there to stop any truly massive impact from completely rattling you loose. And the powertrain, even in normal mode, and that transmission, they're working in tandem. As you dig into the throttle, they give you the power you need. It certainly feels suited to this kind of behavior. But let's say you want to have a little more fun. You want to hoon a bit. We're going to go into a different GOAT mode called Baja. It's a lot of clicks over. There we go, Baja mode. That is going to lock us into four-wheel drive high, and it's going to turn on the front-facing camera, and it's going to turn off traction control. Off-road use only. Yeah, we got that covered. So in theory, this is effectively the fun mode. Put all that power down. Let there be some slide. Let the suspension really show off. Oh, this is good. This is what I signed up for. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, it's a desert runner, guys. And once again, the steering feel is just incredible for an off-roader. This is sort of just unparalleled. All that torque is magnificent. Oh, I love you, Baja mode. Call it the miles/hour mode. A little bit of a jump here. Yes. Oh, floated it. Wow. Oh, I'm freaking thrilled. Here we go. Yes! Oh, it eats this stuff up. Oh, completely redeems any of the lower speed chop is right here. This is it. Oh, goodness me, I love this truck. And for our next trick, some articulation. So we're going to change up the goat mode, go from Baja to sand, and that is going to lock the rear differential. Then from here, I'm going to move into neutral and go from 4 high to 4 low. Allow that shift to happen, which does so very quickly already there. Back to drive. Let's find a good one. Now, inherently, a solid axle in the front is going to have more wheel articulation than an IS, but we do have a disconnecting front sway bar in the Bronco, which you can do while the wheels are articulated, something you can't do in the Wrangler. Add to that 11.5 inches of ground clearance and the 4.7 axle ratio from this Sasquatch package. And that's just effortless. That's what that is. Now on the descent, look at the camera for the right entry. And just the ease of side-to-side motions with that sway bar disconnected fills you with confidence for things like this. And this looks like a good opportunity to use the trail control mode. So the way we activate that is just by hitting this button here in between the transfer case settings. And from here it says to use the set buttons to actuate the speed that we're going to crawl up this hill. It also functions as hill descent control that we'll have a chance to try out later. But for now, moving in half-mile-per-hour increments, I've taken my foot off the throttle and brake, and I just get to work with the steering. How fast will it let me go? I'm just curious. I don't know. 5.5 miles per hour is plenty for me. This just gives you the assurance that if you're not that confident off-road, the truck is going to take care of the hard parts for you. But let's just say you want to do the hard parts yourself. Well, you're not going to use trail control, but for this steep, rocky ascent, I'm going to move on into rock crawl mode. And that is automatically going to disconnect the front sway bar. And though we have the rear locker engaged, I'll probably have to lock the front diff as well. But we'll see for now how we do. With these tires aired down, allowing them to grip in more. Though I'm not going to really need it here, I have a great approach angle of 43.2 degrees, an excellent breakover angle of 26.3, and a solid departure angle of 37 degrees. Those are down to the Wrangler Extreme Recon, as is the crawl ratio at 95:1. There we go. This is a good chance to lock the front locker. We already have the rear locker. With that a go. It's slidey. We got to back up. And carry more momentum up. There we go. So yes, the crawl ratio is down. It's still excellent. The best crawl ratio in a Bronco is going to be found with the manual transmission. And now for 22, the fact that you have the Sasquatch package with the manual transmission and its crawler gear is going to be the best combo for stuff like this. Though clearly, as we have this one equipped, it's more than up to the challenge. As long as you carry momentum. And as we crest the top of the hill, survey all that we've conquered. And this is a great opportunity to try out the trail turn assist. So we hit that, it's going to disconnect, or rather unlock the rear differential so that it can use the brake-based torque vectoring to brake the inner wheel in the rear and turn us right around in a far tighter radius than it ever would have been possible without trail turn assist. And now, as we prepare for our descent, we'll re-engage the trail control in its hill descent function. And by no means are we planning to do 5.5 miles per hour down this one. But once again, I get to take my foot off the brake, just focus on the steering, and let the truck systems, the braking, the traction control, sort out everything else. I am going to do my best to wrap this up succinctly, but guys, do not count on it, because this is an extremely contentious segment of the automotive market. You don't just pick a winner casually. But let's back up and start with the starting figure of the Bronco. You can get in the door to a two-door base 2.3 liter with a manual transmission for like $30,000. This one though, the first edition, started at $62,000 for the four-door and $65,000 as tested. You can't buy this particular model though anymore. So the closest you're going to get to it is the Wild Track trim with the Sasquatch package and the 2.7 liter engine, and that's going to be about high 50s to start. How does that stack up against this truck's main competitor, the Jeep Wrangler? Well, there isn't like a perfectly equivalent Wrangler model. The Wrangler has a ton of engine options, but its starting figures are all over the place, and nothing really perfectly aligns with the Bronco. I would say it's not going to be the base engine model. It's certainly going to be the Rubicon with the Extreme Recon, if we're talking the first edition, or Wild Track with the Sasquatch. And engine-wise, we're doing 2.7 in this. I'm going to say probably the Eco Diesel would be the closest in terms of performance spread. Yeah, it makes less power at 260 horsepower, but it makes more torque at 442 pound-feet. Fuel economy in this Bronco with the Sasquatch is 17 combined from 17 city and 17 highway. So the Eco Diesel at 25 combined really just stomps it there. 0 to 60 for that Eco Diesel, 6.9 seconds, so it's slower than the 6.3 of this one. I want to contextualize what I'm about to say because it may sound harsh, but you need to understand something. I'm a previous Wrangler owner. I had a JK. I loved it to death. I took it on tons of adventures all over the place off-road. It was an incredible truck. It was a pain in the butt to live with. And though the JL has definitely refined that a little bit, it's still not a very comfortable, enjoyable truck to drive around town, apart from its cool factor. And the 392 is just awesome, and there is no equivalent for the Bronco, at least not until a Raptor or Bronco R comes out. So, the Wrangler wins a couple small categories. As a purist off-roader, you may appreciate the solid front axle, the durability, the ease of maintenance, and if you like the EcoDiesel, you'll like the torque, and you'll like the fuel efficiency. That's kind of where the Wrangler ends its victories, because the Bronco, from every other segment, wipes the floor with the Wrangler. I think it's cooler to look at. It has a nicer interior. It rides vastly better than that Wrangler. It's just a cooler truck, if you ask me. So, between the two, it's going to be Bronco. And I love the Wrangler, but it's going to be Bronco. This has just sort of set a new benchmark in that segment. What are some other things you might consider? Well, if you like Toyota, I have two Toyotas. I got the Land Cruiser, I got the RAV4. I understand why people buy them, and their off-road products are great. But the 4Runner TRD Pro feels geriatric by comparison to this vehicle. And at 53 grand for 270 horsepower, 0 to 60 of 7.5 seconds, 17 combined MPG, no better than this? I mean, come on. That just, sure, if you were going to stick me in the Sahara and say pick a truck, that or this, I would take the 4Runner because I'd want to make it out for sure. But I don't live in the Sahara, so I'm going to take the more modern, more comfortable, better looking truck. And then there is the new Land Rover Defender. And the equivalent to, as we have equipped here, would be sort of the Defender 110 SE, so with the V6. And that, at a starting figure of 63 grand, is just a little more expensive than the Wild Track would be with the Sasquatch. It makes more power, 395 horsepower. Torque is very similar at 406 pound-feet. 0 to 60 is quicker in that, 5.8 seconds. And what the Defender brings is this luxury prestige with it, along with improved cabin insulation. So the wind noise you're hearing from the Bronco, you're not going to get that in the Defender, at least not to the same degree. I still think the Bronco is cooler. That's just kind of where I land with it. I think it's cooler. I think it's worth the as-tested $65,000 if you could find a first edition, which you can't anymore. And the unfortunate reality, guys, is even the Wild Track at high 50s, you're not going to find any of those near that price on dealer lots. So my recommendation is, if you can wait, put in an order and wait. Because when it shows up sometime in 2022, it's going to be worth it. This is my favorite off-road vehicle on sale right now. And that, as I said, is not to be taken lightly. I hope you guys have enjoyed this exhaustingly in-depth review, and I will see you again next time. Till then, I wish I could just go to Baja mode all the time, but foot down.